Hey, what's up guys? Auto Fanatics. So today's video, I'm going to show you guys specifically how to press in new bushings in your suspension arms after you properly restored them. Now, this video is going to apply to anybody that's doing a restoration on any older car, whether it's domestic, import, exotic, doesn't really matter. A lot of the new cars today, like I'll show you, this is an arm off my Alfa Romeo, they're cast aluminum, so there's really never an issue unless you're really using the wrong tools of, cosmetically affecting this area, because the aluminum is pretty resilient, and also you're not going to get rust even if you gouge and damage the aluminum. So I'm going to show you guys today a little trick that I've done for years on pressing in bushings whenever I do a restoration on a vehicle. Now, I'm restoring the Ferrari 355, the full suspension, chassis, brake system. If you guys follow my IG feed, I've been posting a lot of clips every other day showing you guys the progress. Now, I was doing the bushings a few days ago, and all of a sudden a bunch of DMs came into my inbox saying, Phil, how do you get the bushings into the control arms using conventional tools without damaging them? A lot of guys says, oh, they tried taping it. I said, no. I said, I show you guys, I have a method. And being that I was doing it, I said, let me just shoot a quick video showing you start to finish, my little tips. And if this video can help anybody out there that's doing a restoration, then so be it. Like I said, I don't do the videos to get views. I do it to share information and my knowledge and experience with you guys around the world who watch my content. So just want to show you guys here. This is the restored rear wishbone for the Ferrari 355. This is the lower wishbone in the rear of the car. Now, I'll throw some photos in the video now. You guys could see how nasty these control arms were. They were rusted, the bushings were dry rotted, the bushing faces were rusted. It just looked nasty. So what I did on the control arms, I descaled all the weld splatter from manufacturing. We sent them out. They were powder primed and then powder coated in the satin black that was color matched to the original finish that was on the car. So now we got the control arms back, and the biggest fear always, whenever I'm doing a restoration, is we got to put the car back together, and how do you do it without damaging? Not only just putting the bushings in, but the final assembly of the car. This is what makes restoring a car and building a very expensive show car, whether it's a custom hot rod or whatever, it's a totally different mindset of tenacity and patience when you approach this, because you can't just monkey it and go in there and start damaging the bolts that you spent a lot of money for, whether you have ARP polished fasteners or, like over in this case, I have all the regalvanized bolts from Ferrari with the Ferrari heads and all of that. So you really got to take a different approach. You got to plan, you got to methodically execute a proper solution that's going to work and not damage all your hard-earned work. This costs a lot of money to do. The bushings are very expensive. You want to take your time and do it right. And I'm going to show you guys a really cool tip today that I've been doing for a really long time. I actually learned it through the machine shop that I grew up in the family-owned business. My father's machinist taught me this well over 25 years ago, and I'm going to show you guys this tip today. So a lot of guys on YouTube are showing videos on how to do bushings and control arm bushings using this conventional tool. Also, nobody is showing you guys a video on how to do suspension bushings or the assembly of a car when you're doing a restoration or when you want to preserve the cosmetics or the preservation of something like this. So this video is going to pretty much fill that need, and hopefully it's going to help somebody out there, whoever is out there doing any kind of a restoration. So this is a common tool. This is called a ball joint removal tool, and this tool is good to remove ball joints on modern cars. A lot of videos you'll see on YouTube, they're showing you bushing installation with this tool as well. This is not the proper tool when you want to do the job without damaging the cosmetics and the finish that you just did. The reason for that is you're very limited to your work area, okay? So you have these plates and these cups that go in there, and you're very limited to the area you're going to work over here. So when you look at this wishbone here, there's obviously no room to get the cups that come in the kit, and you can see these cups are sharp and fit the head of the tool. It's just not going to work. Now, a hydraulic press I have on the other side of the shop, you could use that as well, but the time it takes to set that up, it's just not really worth it. I have a much better solution I'm going to show you guys today. So the reason I don't really like this tool whenever I'm doing any kind of restoration work is because it causes a lot of damage. The reason it causes damage is because there's no way to center through the middle on both ends the cups and inside the bushing. Okay, you see how that bushing has a through hole? So I'm going to show you guys another tool that I have here. Now, another thing I want to show you, this is, of course, a brand new bushing. Now, it has a slight taper, so if you were to measure this with a micrometer, you're going to see that it gets fatter towards the end. So what ends up happening, as you're pressing these in, it'll go in easy. until you get to about this area here. Now, if you have the wrong tool and you're putting excessive pressure right towards the 3/4 mark, there's a good chance that this cup is gonna move. It's gonna, especially if you have it like this, it's gonna move, it's gonna cock, you're gonna damage this, it's gonna peel and chip, and you're gonna be cursing and screaming and saying, why the hell did you do it that way? So this is just not the way I like to do it. I like to center it. All right, guys, I cleared off my workbench. So this is the tool we're gonna be using today. This is called a push-pull installation kit. Now you're gonna see here, it comes with various different cups. This is gonna be better on like a modern car if you guys are doing rear subframe bushings on like a Mustang, Camaro, or anything like that. But this kit is pretty universal. You could do stuff, you know, really, really big bushings. If you're doing front toe arm bushings, you're doing rear subframe bushings, this tool will work. So the way this works, you can see here, this is a pushing cup, and it's got a little bit of a flange here. So you have these two plates that go on each end, and you see how this locks in there. So it keeps the cup centered. Now you get a series of different threaded rods. You have 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter, 14 and 16 millimeter, which is pretty conventional. Now the cool thing about this kit, we're gonna use the 14 millimeter because that's the bushing that we're working on today, is that thrust bearings right here. So it's gonna reduce the friction. And what's really cool is here, we're gonna take a bushing and we slide it through. So now the advantage of doing it this way is that this rod is gonna keep the bushing, not only the bushing straight, we have this is gonna be countersunk into here. So we have this locked in straight, and then this is gonna be locked in straight. So as a result, we're gonna be keeping everything on the same plane. There's nothing gonna be shifting. Everything's gonna go in nice and easy, and we're not gonna have any issues. Now, I got some pieces here. These I machined a long time ago. You could pretty much buy these kit and then bring it to a local machine shop or cut them down in a bandsaw or machine them on a lathe, and this is how it's gonna work. So just to show you, this is the larger bushing we're working on today, and this is where we're gonna be pressing it in on. Now, you never wanna press a bushing on the face. If you do that, you're gonna distort the rubber. You're actually gonna cause the bushing casing to collapse. You wanna push the bushing always on the flange, the outside flange here. So what a lot of guys are showing you guys in videos, they're taking sockets, which is not really safe to do because these could grenade into your face, and they're pressing it over here, and it's just not really the right way to do it, especially when you want to do something, you know, cosmetically and get it done right. So this was machined perfectly. We got the little bit of a lip here. So that's going to center itself just like that. So it's going to keep that in center as we push it. And if you look right here, it drops right over. Okay, so we have a little bit of wiggle room, but everything's going to be centered off the bolt that goes through the middle, and that's what we want. Now on the other end of it, so we have a smaller diameter and we have the smaller pushing cup. So this is gonna go on one end and this is gonna go on the other end. The rod's gonna go through just like that. We're gonna lock it all in. We're gonna use two ratchet open end wrenches, and we're just gonna tighten this down, and you're gonna see how easy it's gonna be. So before I do that, I wanna show you guys a quick tip. We're gonna get the control arm mounted in my jaw horse, and I'm gonna show you exactly how I'm gonna prepare and make sure that as this is pushing, it's not gonna mar the freshly powder coated finish on the wishbone. So, all right guys, so I have the wishbone in my hand, and of course we're using my jaw horse. I've done so many videos on this on the AutoFanatic YouTube channel. This will be the best $99 you ever spend if you're gonna do a lot of fabrication and working your cars. I use this for brakes, brake lines, fabrication, welding. I have 3 of these things. These things are absolutely amazing. So we got the rubber soft jaws in there. We're gonna drop the wishbone just like that, and we're gonna lock it in. So this isn't gonna go anywhere. So the first step we're gonna do, we're gonna use some 3M masking tape. Now the way I'm gonna mask out, so now this is just something I wanna show you. So the bushing is gonna be going in from this side. So we have the flange, the pushing flange is gonna rest against this flange. Now if you look here, there's no flange on the back end. So if you don't protect the back end, this cup with the amount of pressure towards the end has a very good tendency to rock and chip and damage this finish all around here. So there's 2 things that I'm gonna do. We're gonna take the really good 3M auto body tape, and the way I tape it, this is 1/2-inch tape, I'm gonna pretty much overlap. You see that there? So we're gonna go like this, we're gonna give it a couple of passes. And you don't have to do anything fancy. This is not neat, this is just there for protection. And then we're gonna fold it over, just like that, okay? We're gonna fold it over the lip. Now that's gonna be your first line of defense for damaging the finish is going to be the tape. All right, guys, we're over on the other side of my workbench. Now, this is what I'm going to show you. So even though we taped up the other end of the control arm, there's another little tip that I want to show you guys here today. Now, when I usually do this, I cut circles of leather. This is like tooling leather, about 14 to 16 ounce leather. It's actually really cheap. You could buy cutoffs on Amazon, eBay, and also Tandy Leather Factory. That's where I usually buy these hides. So here's a little sample here. So what I usually do, I'm going to show you guys quick. I use this really cool cutter from Japan. It's got a blade and it's got a little awl on the bottom that centers it. You'll set your measurement and you'll cut perfect circles in leather. So let me just grab a piece of scrap leather right here. We're just going to cut it. Okay, put that to the side. Now, if you look here, we're going to just place this tool down. Try to get it dead center as possible. Okay? Okay, look at that. Now, I just cut out a perfectly round circle in seconds. This tool, I will put a link to this as well. This is super cool. Not sure if this is sold on Amazon, but I've had this for years and I use it for gaskets and leather cutting. Now, if you look carefully, you see we have a center point already marked in this leather. Now, I have here a really cool punch kit. I use this punch kit when I do upholstery, specifically Ferrari Daytona seat inserts, which has the holes going all the way across, or you're going to make any kind of belting leather or anything like that. You're going to mark your holes, but you want to make sure that when you punch it, that you're dead on center. So this punch kit has a center punch in the middle, and then you're going to set it accordingly so you get a perfect hole every increment all the way across. So being that we're working with a 14 millimeter bolt, we're going to want to find something that's going to be similar. So this is pretty similar. You can see that there. So that's going to be the closest we're going to get. We're going to screw this onto the punch. All right, so I want to give you guys a good close-up here. So we're going to just line that up on the center hole. And we're going to put some pressure. And there's your hole. So if you look here on camera, you see how I could put the screw through the hole? So this is going to keep this centered along with all the other apparatus while we press out and push in the new bushing. So let's get over there and I'm going to show you how we set this up real quick. All right, guys, so we're over back at the jewel horse. Now, the first step before you're going to want to put bushings in, and I just want to show you guys again and re-emphasize, this is the original bushing that was in there. You can see all the corrosion that's in there, and also as you press it in, the metal starts to scratch and gouge the outer casing, which could lead to corrosion. And once water gets in there, you can see how nasty this gets and it causes premature failure. So before you do it, I like to recommend some Permatex aluminum anti-seize compound. I'm going to put a little bit of a drop inside the cavity, okay, just in here. Just a little bit, you don't need a lot. And then I'm going to just use my glove with my finger to go in there. Now, the anti-seize is going to help with corrosion. It's also going to help with the bushing getting pressed in there by reducing the amount of friction, especially towards the end of the pressing process. Okay, so we're going to get that in there. Also, wipe off your fingers because stuff makes a mess and you'll get it all over your clothes. Okay, so that's that. Now, the bushing that we're going to be using, we're going to just kind of set that up there. We're not going to do much with that. We're just going to get the tools set up and let's get this going right now. So we already have the cup. This side's going to go over here. We already know how that's going to go. And then just unscrewing this. So we're going to set it up. And what's great about this kit is that you could modify the pusher and receiver cups for pretty much any car whatsoever that you're working on. So we're going to do that there. We got this here. It goes the other way. So there's an A and B side. Okay, so you see how that's properly indexed? We have the pusher plate, the pusher cup, the bushing. Everything's going to be lined up perfectly straight. We're going to get this through just like that. We're going to tighten this up here. And what's great about this kit, like I said, is that it keeps everything on center. And whenever you're doing bearings or bushings, if you start deviating and start going sideways, you're going to cause a serious problem and you're going to damage your bearing. And I learned that, in my family's machine shop growing up as a kid, we always had specialty bearing tools and presses. And, every time there was a specialty job, the machinist would just machine specific tools and dies to do the project. Now, this is the other end. We're gonna go over here, and you can see that there. It fits perfectly. But before we do that, we're gonna take that piece of leather that we just cut, and we're gonna go just like this, okay? And then we're gonna go like this. So you see what we're doing here? We have the tape, we have a nice piece of 16-ounce leather, and we have the receiver end, okay? But now we're gonna center that all up. So you guys can see it's pretty painless, but you just gotta take your time and set it up. All right, guys, as you can see, we're all set up. I zoomed in the camera, so where you're gonna be paying attention as I do the process, you're gonna be watching this flange get closer and closer and closer. And once it bottoms out, then you're done. And actually, in between bushings, I usually cut a new piece of leather just for protection, because I'm telling you now, there's a lot of force and a lot of pressure on these bushings that you still can damage the finish, even though it's on there. So try not to be stingy and reuse everything. So we're just gonna grab 2 of my gear wrenches, and I'm just gonna get everything lined up over here. Okay, so here we go. And I'm barely putting pressure because everything is centered. We put the anti-seize compound inside the bushing cavity, and I have the right tool. So now it's getting a little tighter around here. So this is what you're gonna notice too. And when you're doing this on a hydraulic press, you can't really feel what's going on. And there's a lot of times that you could over press it, and if you don't have the cup on the end in the right position, you will blow out the bushing and destroy it, and you'll have to start over. That's it, we're almost at the home stretch. So if anybody says that pushing bushings in requires a lot of effort, it really doesn't. If you're trying to use the ball joint tool, yeah, it's a little bit different. Okay, so we bottomed out, reversed the wrench. Okay, pull those away. Okay, put that to the side. Remove the cup. You can see there's no damage here. And now we're going to remove the tape. Okay, I got to take my gloves off for that. And then I'll show you guys how the outside finish still looks awesome. I'm actually going to remove the tape slowly and get the camera out of my way, and I'll show you guys when we're done. All right, guys, so I got the tape all removed. You guys could see there's no damage to the finish at all. The bushing's pressed in, it's bottomed out. You can see the other end, everything looks nice and clean. Now, just to show you guys, even though we had tape on there, look at the impression that pressing in this bushing did to this thick piece of leather. You fit that over right there, okay? So I hope you guys like this video. You know, like I said, this is something that's gonna help somebody that's doing a restoration, or anybody that really wants to do a really good job and not be a monkey and damage your hard-earned work and refinishing and restoration of your suspension arms. Like I said, please subscribe to the Auto Fanatic YouTube channel. I will put links to this kit, but remember, this kit out of the box may not work for your application. You may have to machine and modify your cups to work with smaller bushings. All these other cups and receiver cups here will work great on rear subframes and some of the newer cars as well, if you guys are doing that. Also, the tip with the leather, this thing is foolproof. I'm telling you, I've been doing this stuff for a really long time. Got to get yourself a good punch, and this circle cutter is an absolute home run if you want to cut perfect circles in leather. No matter what you're doing, whether you're assembling stuff on cars, you want to work with templates, gaskets, anything, this is an indispensable tool. Made in Japan, super awesome quality. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for more automotive content, and I will show you guys when the Ferrari is finished with everything being assembled. I'm going to do a specific video showing you and highlighting all the detail. The front suspension's finished. I'm working on the rear now, and when everything's done, I'm going to show you guys everything, and we'll take it to the shop. We'll put it up in the lift, and I'll give you guys some really good walk-arounds. I'm going to show you guys the before and after, because the progress and the results are going to blow you guys away, because not only is it an aesthetic improvement, it's going to be a value improvement. When you're working with a specialty car and you're doing a restoration, you're going to increase that value of the car, and it's just going to be a better investment and a better tangible asset for you guys to own and also sell when the time comes. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next video real soon. Take care, guys.